Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so we have the Lakers and the Spurs tonight at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. Yes, another early games. If we haven't had enough of those start the season, we got another one tonight. The game is in San Antonio, and yeah, it's going to be interesting because San Antonio Spurs have won their last 2 games, 3 out of their last 5 games, and they're 500 ball club at this point. 6-6 is their record. And they've been shooting the 3 ball like crazy. In fact, their volume is way up there. They don't shoot anything less than 36 threes. And that was only once that I saw in the highlights, not highlights, but in the stats that I looked at over their last 5 games. It's been above 42 threes a night. And Wemby's taken like 7 of them. And he's hit 20 threes in the last 3 games. So, yeah, that's what we need to know. Wemby is turned into Wemby Miller, Reggie Miller, Wemby Thompson, like Wemby Curry. That's where we're at with him right now. He's shooting the ball very well. Plus, they got Devin Vassell back, who he also known for hitting the 3 very much. So he should be rounding in the form right about now after missing the first couple of weeks of the season. He's been back for about 3 games, and he should be ready to go. So that's dangerous. Last year, Devin Vassell had his career high against us. I didn't forget that. We actually lost a game to the Spurs and almost lost another game to the Spurs as well. So it's a team that's given us trouble for the last couple of years, even though they weren't a very good team. And now they are pretty much a good team. They're playing good. They beat the Wizards in the last one. Of course, Wemby went for 50 damn points. Yeah, 50 for the Wembanyama. So he's coming along, to say the least. They also had a game against the Portland Trail Blazers. Of course, they beat them about 4 games ago. Who'd they play? The Clippers. I think they lost the Clipper game. I think that's how that went. And they beat the Wizards. It was the Wizards, the Kings that they've played. I don't exactly remember. I think that Kings game is the one also that they won as well. Yeah, the 2-game winning streak is against the Kings and the Wizards. So, you know, they've had a mixed bag of talent that they've gone up against, but they've fought very well. They played against the Utah Jazz and lost by 1, which is just a tough game for them. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, they've been playing well. That's the point. You know, they could have very easily won that Jazz game, and it would have been a 3-game winning streak. So, going up against a team that's playing very well. This game is in their house, and, of course, the Lakers have not won too many games on the road at all to start the season, and we've had a lot of games, so the sample size is pretty good. And although our MO is to, no matter what we go up against at home, we win. On the road, the MO is, can we find our energy? And the answer has been not really. When we play any defense, do guys want to show up? Not really. And that's kind of been the problem with our road situation. So hopefully we can right that wrong tonight. Of course, it is most necessary to say that this is an NBA Cup game. It's the start of the NBA in-season tournament. And, you know, you already have 2 games played in our, I think it was 1 game played in our group. And the Phoenix Suns, I believe, beat the Utah Jazz. I think that's how that went. Scoring matters. Scoring matters, so keep that in mind. If you see a situation where your team's trying to run the score up, or God forbid we're down by 30 and Spurs are still trying to keep their starters in to score more, it's because that's the type of thing that matters when it comes to this tournament. So you're going to see the game probably coached a little differently in these tournament games. So don't be discouraged when you see teams trying to run it up, even though the score is already out of whack. Because your total amount of scoring really does determine your seeding in this group play and whether or not you make the playoffs. So, yeah, run the score up, guys. That's what it's about. It's not just about winning the game. It's about scoring a lot. And so, and of course, playing defense to keep the other team from scoring a lot. Our defense has kind of been bad lately. That's really what it comes down to. We have not been a good defensive team, but since we've made some changes into our lineup, we've been a little better there. Bringing Cam Reddish into the starting lineup about 2 games ago. We've won every game since, so got to feel great about that. There's a Laker team on a 3-game winning streak, so you love the truth about that. But all those games, of course, were at home. Beat the Memphis Grizzlies in the last one, Felt pretty good about how that went. You know, they had a really good fourth quarter to kind of run the score up. Anthony Davis did play through the eye situation. He's expected to be a game time decision tonight. I'm certain he's playing. And the injury report is pretty much unclear this early in the morning, but from what I understand, Trey Jones is likely not going to play, but he's close to coming back, so he may give it a go, given the fact that this is a tournament game and everybody comes back against the Lakers. He's at home, so I wouldn't be overly surprised to see Trey Jones play tonight, but he's not expected to. And of course, Jeremy Sohan is out for a couple of weeks. I don't remember exactly what the injury is, but Sohan will not be out there. And for us, of course, you know, it's been said that Jalen Hood-Schifino's been sick with something, but he may give it a go, but he probably won't get any minutes anyway. We know how that goes. Of course, Christian Wood and Vanderbilt always out. And then, of course, Jackson Hayes has been dealing with the ankle. I don't think he plays tonight. They said he's going to be reevaluated in a week, and it ain't been a week. So he ain't ready to go in my understanding. So that's really what it is, man. The Lakers are a little short-handed as usual, but we should have our big dogs out there. Rui Hachimura played a really good game against the Memphis Grizzlies, so we got to see that continue. Of course, Dalton Connect off the bench was perfect from behind the arc. We're going to need that volume tonight to beat this Spurs team, I think. Because at the end of the day, you can try to count on interior scoring, but you are going up against Wembanyama, who's, you know, one of the better defensive players out there. Probably someone who's going to be trying to compete for Defensive Player of the Year, as well as Anthony Davis, of course, who never gets it, even though he usually deserves it. So this is not a night where you're just going to be driving at the rim. Wemby's in it, an elite rim protector. He is 7 feet 4 inches tall, if I'm not mistaken, with like a forever wingspan. So shooting over him obviously is not going to be something that you're going to be able to do easily. You know, he could block 3-point shots. He could block anything in the paint. So it's incumbent upon us to adjust to his length very well. And of course, we had a lot of trouble with the Memphis Grizzlies. Zach Edey, who's the same height, obviously a different body type, but the same height. So, you know, he gave us a lot of trouble. Anthony Davis only went for 21 points, although we were in foul trouble a good portion of the time. Some of that had to do with the length going up against that guy, and of course Jaren Jackson as well. So the Spurs don't have a Jaren Jackson-like player, but they do use Zach Collins out there, who's been playing pretty solid. They really miss Sohan in that way, but you know, Zach Collins has started to shoot the 3-ball, so he's somebody who kind of stood out in the highlights that I watched. So yeah, just be ready for Wemby. At the end of the day, if you try laying the ball up over Wemby, it is going to go outside. It's going to the rafters. He's going to send it away. So that should be understood. You know, and that's pretty much what we're going to be dealing with tonight. Of course, we have other players on that Spurs team that we need to mention. Chris Paul is on this team, and he's having a really good year, believe it or not. He fits in with his club very well, getting all types of assists up, still finding his mid-range jump shot. His 3-point shot has been falling pretty well in his system. And, you know, he's still a force to be reckoned with at 39 years old. Somehow he's been more productive with this Spurs team than he was probably with Phoenix and Golden State combined. He's kind of looking more like himself, to be honest with you. So we're going to have to be very careful with him. Him and LeBron James will go at it as the oldest men in this league. And, you know, we'll deal with a lot of playmaking there. Also, Stephon Castle, 5th overall pick. No, I don't remember exactly what the Spurs had. Maybe it was the 4th overall pick. They're starting to get something out of him. If they put him in the starting lineup, of course, he's known for his defense and combination things. But the 3-ball is falling for Stephon Castle as well, which is not something that he was drafted to be able to do very well. But it's been falling. He's been attempting about 6 of them. I think he had 3 out of 6 in one of those games that the Spurs played lately. Put him into the starting lineup. He's been really relevant in fantasy. I picked him up in a couple of leagues. He's just doing a lot of stuff helping Chris Paul play make as well. So you got 2 guys in that starting lineup that know how to pass the ball to Wemby, which is something the Spurs did not have last year. So Wemby's, of course, getting 50-point games because he has 2 guys that know how to get him the ball very easily. So that's something that, we got to pay attention to Stephon Castle slashing at the rim. Is something he loves to do. He's gonna get a lot of pressure on the rim, scoring the ball. As a defensive player, so he's gonna try to lock down Austin Reeves or whoever he's on. And he's really good at what he does, man. He's a mini Jimmy Butler. It's Stephon Castle. So be very prepared for him. He's surging in the right direction, and you will have to take him very seriously if you're going to win this game tonight. Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson's playing pretty good off of the bench. They're bringing Vassell and Johnson off the bench, which is giving them a very strong bench right now with that type of talent coming off of it. Of course, I'd imagine Vassell will step into the starting lineup at some point, but right now they got Chris Paul and Castle in there. So that gives them two very talented players that can shoot the ball from behind the arc, although Keldon Johnson, throughout the tanking years, was shooting horribly from behind the arc. When he wants to shoot well, he tends to shoot well. And, he looks like a mini Russell Westbrook out there in the last highlight. I saw somebody comment that in the comments, and I was like, I don't see it until I looked at the highlights they were watching against the Kings. And that's exactly what he looked like. He's playing with a lot of pressure on the rim. He's wearing number 0. And he kind of moves like Russell a little bit. I never noticed that. But, we're going to have to take Keldon Johnson very seriously. Obviously, he's a good player who's been sacrificing in many ways for this San Antonio team. So, he's capable of going off of their bench. So, bench play is going to be very important tonight. You can't confuse the San Antonio Spurs with having lesser players coming off their bench. That's not how they have it set up this year. 2 of their better players are, in fact, coming off their bench right now. Also, Blake Wesley, a player they drafted in the first round about 4 or 5 years ago. They've been bringing him along slowly, and now he's really starting to play well off the bench as well. You count on him to shoot the ball. You count on him to drive at the rim. So they got a lot of little feisty players down there coming off their bench. That second unit wave is strong with Collins, Wesley, Keldon, and Vassell if they continue to keep it that way. So, they have one of the more talented benches maybe in the Western Conference when you consider that forced tandem right there coming at you. Of course, you got to deal with the vet Harrison Barnes, who was traded to the Spurs, I believe it was, in the offseason. I don't remember exactly what that trade looked like, but he's with this team now. And also can shoot the 3. Also tends to play well against the Lakers. Also can play some defense, NBA champion. So you got to take him extremely seriously, to say the least. We know him very well. And now he's with the Spurs team, kind of boosting their overall talent level. I think they're starting him in that starting lineup next to Chris Paul and all of those guys to help boost the talent around Wemby in that starting lineup. I think that's how they're setting it up. But if they decide to move Keldon to the starting lineup, you still got to deal with him and those other guys off the bench. So either way, that bench is strong. Julian Champagnie is also a player that's been playing very well for this team, kind of getting double-digit points and scoring and stuff like that. He's a pretty talented young role player, man. Him and his brother have both done good things with the teams they've played for over the last several years. You always remember seeing that name, Champagnie, and they usually are very active doing things on both sides of the floor. So Julian is who we're dealing with tonight, and he has a real role with that Spur team off the bench as well, which is why I think that Spur bench is one of the more underrated ones, because you keep on finding talent like this. So be aware of Julian Champagnie. He will be shooting the 3-ball some tonight as well. Makmula Svili, I'm not sure how to say his name correctly, but he stood out in the highlights when I saw him out there. He shoots the 3. He used to play for the Bucks. Spurs were really high on him. They brought him to their situation, and they have him off of that bench as well. So be aware of him and what he's capable of doing. And of course, we already mentioned Zach Collins will be the center in that bench situation. Just a talented bench, man. It's a talented bench, man. Prayers out to Coach Pop, and he had a mild stroke right before the Wizards game about a week ago. I do not expect he will be on the sidelines today, still recovering from that. But we're always thinking about Pop, man, one of the best coaches to ever do it, and a real stand-up character in this league, and has been the whole time I've been watching. So definitely think about Pop as I'm making this video, man, for sure. And we're ready. We're ready for the Spurs tonight. We're on a 3-game winning streak. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Something has to give. It's tournament play, so the stakes are high. We're the defending champions of this NBA Cup tournament. Never lost a game in the NBA Cup. but we also have a much stronger group this year. We had a particularly weak group last year, but this group is very strong. We got OKC, who's entering the group. Of course, the Spurs team is much improved. You got the Phoenix Suns, top of the Western Conference, if I'm not mistaken. And you got the Utah Jazz, who have a lot of talent. Even though they're not a good team, they have plenty of talent. So you got to deal with this group, man. It's not going to be easy. I don't imagine that we would go undefeated this year. But it would be great for us to get a good start here and defend our NBA Cup. I know it's not the most important thing in the world to Laker fans, but believe me, it means a lot to the players. It did last year, and we took a lot of pride in that, and we played very well under those circumstances. So totally different coach. I don't know if JJ's going to coach it the same way, but we are a team that's surging in the right direction after making the lineup change in the starting lineup. And I expect for us to come out here and take this Spurs team extremely seriously on their home court. We've been a bad team on the road, so we should have even more pride in trying to win this basketball game. We understand Wemby's going off right now, so we should be intentional on doing something to try to scheme a way to slow him down, particularly from behind the arc. If he goes off for like 9 threes tonight, you probably lost. So we need to understand, man, Wemby is not to be toyed with. Anthony Davis and Wemby went at it last year. Anthony Davis drew a line in the sand with that young man, played him hard. He's only going to get better from here. So AD's going to have to play him even harder if he's going to beat him from here on out. And that's just what it is. And, MVP candidate Anthony Davis, top of the MVP standings, if you ask me. But he did come off a bad game against Memphis. So for his standards anyway, even though he had 3 blocks and 14 boards, 21 points is not what's going to give him that MVP. He has to get back up in that 30 range. And so I thought that was an outlier game, to be honest with you. But we did see some issues with his push shot that had been falling up until that game, and we've had it give us trouble last season a lot. He barely made that damn thing. That little push shot that he likes to shoot. Not my favorite Anthony Davis shot, but yeah, it started giving us trouble again against Memphis. So hopefully he doesn't have issues with it. But the 3-ball looked great against Memphis, 2 out of 3 there. So, if anything, if he would have just been able to stay out of foul trouble, I'm pretty sure he would have got his numbers, even though we were having a lot of trouble with the length of the Memphis Grizzlies, as mentioned many times. So, we just need everybody to show up. Obviously, LeBron James, 3 straight triple-doubles, oldest player to ever do that. He broke his own record. He did that back when he was 34 years of age. And hopefully he can extend that. May need it, given the fact that we're going up against this San Antonio club that's been playing much better. And it's just been a revelation, really, seeing him find his energy. It's going to come and go, as we know. There's been nights where he doesn't look very energetic. But right now, particularly against the Memphis Grizzlies, he looked like he was, as I've said in the not the pregame, but in the postgame video, that he looked like he was 21 years old, man, playing as well as he had, with energy as I'd seen in a long time. So hopefully that carries over to tonight, and hopefully he has that 3-ball falling. He's shooting over 45% career high from behind the arc. He's really just reimagined his entire perimeter game. And it couldn't come at a better time, because we definitely need that from him. So our volume's going to be important tonight, man. San Antonio's going to shoot. They're going to shoot a lot, and they've been shooting very well. That's what people need to understand. You're talking about a team that is shooting above 38%, if I'm not mistaken. That's like a rough estimate of what I saw. But they've been shooting like 43s and like hitting almost half of them. So you got to know that this is not a minor 3-point shooting Spurs team at all. They're going to shoot it and they're going to hit it. So if you don't keep your volume up or play some perimeter defense or both, you're going to have hell to pay. San Antonio is more than capable of doing a lot of good things this year. They have some winning players on this team. Harrison Barnes, Chris Paul. This is not yesterday's Spurs team. It's just not, And so that's really what it comes down to. Try to control the boards to the best of your ability. Obviously, you're going up against Wemby. So, he's going to have the first dibs on a lot of things in the air. But with Sohan out, we should have a much easier path than we normally would have against this team, in my opinion. So, yeah, man, this is going to be a good game. I wouldn't call it a trap game, because this is a legitimately good team this year. I don't know that most people know that right now, but they're pretty damn good. 6-6 is not indicative of their record. or rather their record's not indicative of how they're playing, because they lost most of them games the first half. Over the last couple of games they've been winning, and though they have a lot of development to do from here, people are surging in the right direction. That's what it is. Wimby surging, Castle surging. Chris Paul is playing great ball right now. Sam Penny's surging in the right direction. Vassell's getting healthier by the second, who loves to play against us. Keldon's been playing well. So it's a team full of guys that are all playing great. I would say peaking, but I don't think that's really the truth. But they're all playing great right now. So with the crowd behind them, and this being a tournament game, we should be ready. We should be ready for real resistance, man. This team they're not going to be struggling like last year's team did. So I don't think they're tanking anymore. They probably want to make the playoffs, and they probably feel like they have enough pieces to do it. And so we just got to be aware of that, and don't think this is yesterday's Spurs team as we walk into their building. I know there may be some people who haven't been doing any homework who will say, "Oh, this is Spurs team not very good. They're probably a tanking team. One more year, take it." I don't think so. Especially with Pop out there, even more motivated to win as much as they can for him. So, this is going to be a spirited game. Obviously, the San Antonio Spurs are a team we have a lot of history with, to say the least. We've lost to them in big playoff situations. We've beaten them in big playoff situations. So this crowd hates us very much, and we need to be ready for that. That's what it is. Of course, with this being a tournament game, you got an entirely different floor. I actually like the Spurs floor for this tournament thing. It's going to be like a dark kind of gray. It's one of the nicer floors in this tournament situation. And of course, they have their city jerseys, SATX jerseys, I believe is what they're wearing. Black and gray, looks like a road jersey. And I believe we'll be wearing honestly don't remember. I think we're wearing our yellows. I don't remember what the Lakers are wearing. I don't believe they'll wear their whites. But for some reason, I thought that might have saw white there. But it's likely yellows, because we only wear whites on holidays and Saturdays and Sundays. So I'm going to say we're wearing our yellows, but I honestly don't remember. But I know exactly what San Antonio's wearing, the SATX jerseys for sure. So, yeah, man, that's what it is. That's what you got going on. The San Antonio Spurs with an early game, 4:30. Be ready for the 4:30 call, Lakers. I know we hate these games in LA because most of us don't get off work or don't have our day set up for that type of early game. But when you're on the road, this is what it is. So, yeah, man. Got a date in San Antonio for a cup play, and I think it could be pretty exciting, man. This could be a real game, man. This could be a real game. We're going to need our stars to show up. We're going to need guys like Austin Reeves to shoot better than he did in the last one, 3 of 11 from behind the arc. Probably not what's going to be best for us tonight. If we can keep, surging in the right direction with Connect and continue to help him find his rhythm early, which I think is really key for our team. One of the more underrated notes for our team. And, finding his shots can kind of mask a lot of other problems if he gets it going and he's hot. So we saw a little bit of that against Memphis, and I hope that wasn't a one-and-done situation there. And, we just got to manage our size situation without Jackson Hayes. Koloko, hopefully, gets some minutes. Braun played a little center. Don't love that, especially tonight. So, we're going to have to be patient and careful. They may try to give Braun a little center play since we're going up against a guy like Zach Collins in the second unit. You might be able to get away with it a bit better. He tends to bang with people like that anyway. So you might get away with playing him center tonight a little more than you normally would. We saw him bang up against Jaren Jackson Jr. in the last one. And I thought he did a pretty good job being physical with him and getting a triple-double against him. He always plays well against Jaren, though. That's a matchup he takes pride in. But you got to understand, if you're going to have him do that, he's going to wear down. At this age, you can't have him having such ridiculously physical matchups every single night. We're going to have to try to protect him from himself. He'll take on those matchups, but he'll wake up in the morning sore and probably will have a difficult time finding that same energy if he has to keep on doing that every game. So that's something I want to say. To preserve Braun, you should probably not try to ask him to do what he did against Jaren too often. So yeah, that's what's on my mind. You know, Mr. Hyde, man, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. At home, where Dr. Jekyll play well, find a way to win. On the road, we may not even show up for the Detroit Pistons. That's what this season has been about. So hopefully we can turn that around with this particular game. I don't know who we play after this, to be honest with you. I don't even remember looking at the schedule, but I'd imagine we have more than a one-game road trip here. Probably gonna play somebody else in this range. San Antonio, probably somebody before we go back to LA. I don't think this is a long road trip, but yeah, man. It's gonna be interesting to see what this Laker team does, man. It's gonna be very interesting to see how they approach this particular road game. With us having a bad road record, this being a cup game, and of course Wemby coming off the 50-point game, we should be heightened in regards to our uh, energy coming out early and expecting a real fight, man. You know, the last 5 seasons you'd be able to roll into San Antonio and they'd be trap games, but this is the year where they really have a bunch of stuff that can come at you and hurt you, and you know that 3-point identity must be circled. You gotta know that this is a 3-point shooting team. Many Celtics in that way. They want to shoot all night. So I would be very surprised if they shot anything less than 43 threes tonight. And I would be further surprised if they shot below 30%. I haven't seen that in any of the stats. So they can turn the ball over some. They can do that. They're not the worst turnover team in the world, but they tend to turn it over. So hopefully we can take advantage of that. Yeah, man, that's really what comes to mind when it comes to the San Antonio Spurs team. They've been taking care of business for the most part, man. They should be pretty proud of their record, 6-6, and I think they believe they can go above 500. So we got to keep them from doing that tonight. That's what it comes down to. We are 6-4, and or is it 7-4? I think it says 6-4, and you know we're trying to stay in the mix, man. Everything is being established right now, and you know it's going to be a long season. We don't know how health is going to handle us, so we got to take care of the ones that are ours to take care of. And I think, though the Spurs are much improved, the Lakers should still be favored to beat them tonight. So they do have a bit more depth than us, but if everybody shows up, we can match what they have going on at that bench. We can match it. But just be aware of the rebounding prowess of a Keldon Johnson. He's known for getting boards and shooting threes. So don't underestimate the small ball rebounding possibilities when Wemby sits down. And please take Devin Vassell seriously. Last year I told you I thought he would get 30 against us. He went off for like 30 plus against us. So that's somebody I have circled. Beware. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Happy Cup Day. BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.